All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this is going to be volume 1 in a new series that I'm going to start called Do You Know How to Love? And love is a very powerful and a very important word and concept. And the reason why I state that and why I think that it's important that I start this series is because, in my view, it's very pertinent, especially in this society that we live in today. Certain words are thrown around willy-nilly, and people have lost the impact and the potency of the word and what it implies. What love is, in my view, as I've stated numerous times over the course of me having these different platforms, whether it be YouTube or Patreon, is just loyalty and sacrifice. That's it. When you can be loyal to someone or something and be willing to sacrifice something for someone, that's what love is. And that's pretty much all it is. What other people's ideas or understandings or definitions of the word love is up to them. I'm telling you what mine is. Because to me, that's the definition that's the most relevant in defining what it means or what it entails to be a part of a relationship that's going to last for the duration. Many people are going to tell you that they love you, but for the most part, what that really means for them at that moment is that you're the one that they're infatuated with at that moment for now. But when their feelings change, their quote unquote love is going to change, which means what? They never loved you in the first place. They were just using you. And unfortunately in life, you're going to come across many people who are just going to be there for that moment in time to use you. And you're probably going to use people yourself. But at the end of the day, none of those configurations or scenarios apply to the concept of love. And that's why I like to say that when it comes to the woman, she really does not understand the concept of love herself until she has a child. Because for the most part, she's not willing to sacrifice for anyone or anything until she has that child. That's why if you work in corporate America with a woman, many times when you pass by her cubicle, you look at her screensaver on her computer. What is the photo that's there? What's the picture that's there? It's her and her child. That's why in the ancient world, you had the image of the quote unquote divine mother with her child. So it's very important that we as so-called black men know how to love, know what love is, because it's only when you know what love is, then number one, you know when you love someone, but also, and even more importantly, you know when and if someone loves you. Because once again, that term love is almost like a secret code word that people want to use or introduce to you to force you into another phase in what their idea of a relationship is. You might be with a chick and maybe y'all will be quote unquote dating for 2 months, and she'll say something like, I love you on the phone. But it's not because she actually loves you, it's because she wants to see if she can get you to say it back. Once she gets you to say it back, now you have tacitly agreed to enter into the next phase of what her definition of a relationship is. So now because you've responded back with I love you because she said that she loved you, in her mind that means that she can dictate new terms to you in regards to what you're supposed to do for her. So always keep in mind what love is, what love entails, if someone really loves you, if they don't really love you. If you can sit in a car or in a living room with someone and neither one of you say anything and neither one of you are uncomfortable in that silence, that's a pretty good indicator of love. If you can make love to a woman and after you guys are finished, you don't want her to leave or you're not trying to leave her place, that's a pretty good indicator that if you guys don't love each other, you're heading towards that. But you have to monitor those things because many times cats can get ahead of themselves. And there's a very thin line between love and what my definition of in love is, which basically is just idolatry. You idolize this person due to infatuation. Many times the woman might idolize you due to infatuation because you bring certain things to the table that she's never experienced before. So that's why you have to take your time in these so-called relationships. A lot of brothers get ahead of themselves. Next thing you know, they get disappointed, they get embittered, and they start blocking off opportunities for real love to enter into their life. And then, of course, when you have a child, the young child is like a sponge. They have to be able to receive love from their parent. You have to know how to love by the time you have a child, because if you don't know how to love, that child is not going to know how to love or recognize love when they come of age, and the cycle is going to continue. That's the importance of brothers understanding life. That's why I say, once again, the so-called black man should not even be considering having a child until he's 35 to 40 years old. That's why the woman tries to pull you into that role of the quote-unquote father when you're in your early 20s, because that's when you're at your most malleable. That's when you're at your most vulnerable. And we're going to see over the course of this case, the plaintiff here is very embittered. She's very angry. She has a lot of vitriol for the defendant because he's going to reveal that he has a problem with love. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Vicky Scott was married to the defendant, and she claims a year after they had a child, the defendant left because he didn't want to be a husband or a father. Vicky claims years later they reconciled and moved in together, but she's suing him today for unpaid rent. Defendant Troy Scott says when he met Vicky, he had recently been released from prison, and it was love at first sight. However, after their son was born, Troy realized that he didn't know how to love anyone other than himself.
So, brothers, let's analyze this for a moment. The narrator stated that when this brother got out of prison, when he saw the plaintiff, that it was quote-unquote love at first sight, but then he later on realized that he had no idea how to love. Well, if you have no idea how to love, how could you use that term in association with the first time that you saw that person? What he really experienced was enchantment or entrancement at first sight. He was entranced by the plaintiff. That's what I mean when I say the word love is overused in this society to the point where it's lost its impact. It's lost its potency. That's why you have to be very careful when you decide to use that word with someone else and when you allow someone else to use that term with you. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to lead to some make or break moments in your life if you become a stickler for how that word is used. You're going to come across females who try to use that word on you, and when you don't say it back, that might be the last time that you guys speak. But I have news for you. If a woman tells you that she loves you and she gets that upset when you don't say it back, that she wants to leave, it's because you passed the test of manhood for yourself. You failed her test, but you passed your own test. In the process of passing your own test throughout life, you're going to lose a lot of people, man.
And that's why he left.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
I met Troy back.
What's up with this sister? I mean, no disrespect. I mean, I'm trying to stay off of her, but damn. Showing up in the courtroom bald-headed with some big hoop earrings and some jet black pajamas on. What the fuck is going on?
In 1987, at the end of July, and we got married October 9th of the same year.
All right.
And
That already was the first mistake. But you know what? The defendant, the brother, was very young. When you're young, you fall for a lot of bullshit. When the woman is infatuated, she'll do anything. Especially them first 2 or 3 months. She'll literally do anything. You can give a woman a damn 9mm and say, go kill that dude, and she might do it. You gotta be very careful with these broads, man.
I had a child after a year of being together. Mm-hmm. And at that time, after my son was about a year old, Troy decided he didn't want to be a husband or a father anymore.
Because he never did. It got old. Once again, why is the woman attracted to so-called thugs? It's because she sees a kindred spirit. There's a lot in common when it comes to the average woman and the so-called thug, i.e. the degenerate. They both have, I won't say affinities for degeneracy, but, it's close. The average woman loves dysfunction and confusion, so does the average so-called thug. That's why they're drawn to one another. In the same way that the woman is galvanized by boredom and jealousy, so is the average low-level nigga. They also live their lives according to boredom and jealousy. That's why that really is the impetus behind a lot of their crime sprees. They're jealous of other people having things.
Left.
Did he say why, or did you think you knew why?
Yes.
Why?
He was just wild and young. We were both 23 years old.
Oh.
That's what drew you to him, that he was wild and young, right?
So you married a person you didn't really know. That's the essence of it.
Yes.
Well, that's really the point. Most women are at their most excited when they don't know someone. It's when they know someone that they get bored. That's when the negativity starts to enter into the fray.
And when you got to know him, when he moved in and all that, he ended up being a crackhead. Or could have been.
Well,
I'm saying could have been. I'm not saying,
yeah,
no, I don't think you're a crackhead. I don't think you were back in the 80s.
He else got to throw that damn crackhead term around.
What?
No, sir.
Okay, he say what?
The defendant's confused. He's like, crackhead? The fuck you talking about? I robbed some niggas, I sold some dope, but crack? Hell no.
87, but I'm just saying, if you don't know a person,
I didn't know him, exactly.
You can hide a crack habit for 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
I know people had a crack habit for a year and a half, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, shit. Not for nothing. Back in 87, 88, I smoked a little crack while I was trying to pass the bar. You know, I wanted to know what it was like to be involved in a drug transaction. So I said, well, shit, let me get a little high. Next thing I know, I was smoking that shit for a year straight. I passed the bar, though.
Told you.
Exactly.
All right, ma'am. So after a year, he just left, and
Yes.
clearly, I'm assuming he took responsibility and provided for the child.
No.
He didn't initially, but when did he start?
He started. I got first child support check I ever got. My son was 16 years old.
Do you know why?
Why is because I had filed a court case against it for the child support, and they finally caught up with it.
Prior to that, do you know why he wasn't paying?
And probably because alcohol was more important.
Okay, he had an alcohol problem. Were you all
Probably the same alcohol problem that he had when you first met him.
communication?
No.
You switched, right? You're not on the alcohol no more, right?
A little.
Come on, man.
I'm
Just
trying,
get you some
I'm
good
trying.
weed.
I'm trying.
You ever smoked weed?
In my past.
That's less damaging to you, sir.
I don't
You just
need
won't
nothing.
be
I
able
don't
to
need
remember.
anything, though.
You just
Honestly,
won't
I
be
don't
able
need
to
nothing.
remember anything.
Like me. I smoke a little ooey every now and then. I mean, shit, I smoke a little something right before the show.
Short-term memory now, as it is.
Well, yeah, you don't need no
I don't
weed.
need nothing.
You won't know your name by the end of the joint. I was just kidding, always. But I am a proponent of weed over alcohol for adults.
I understand that.
Same people that can drink alcohol, them the only people that need to smoke weed. Adults. And you don't need to do it while you're driving, while you're at work. All the rules, same rules for alcohol. That's my opinion, and most states now have it either as medicinal or recreational. I project that in the next 5, no later than 10 years, every state in the union will allow recreational use of marijuana.
Of course, but only after they work out how each and every elected official is going to get their kickback from the legal sale of marijuana. That's how it works. In the same way 15, 16 years ago when they started bandying about legalizing homosexual marriage, everyone knew that it was going to get passed in every state sequentially. But people had to figure out, how are we going to get paid from this? Make sure that, we change some of the marriage laws, because there's going to be an influx of marriages. There's also going to be an influx of divorces. So there's going to be a huge financial windfall by allowing homosexuals and lesbians to marry. The same concept applies to the legalization of marijuana.
So,
You're also going to have a lot more people getting into car accidents, which of course is going to provide a major boon for the penal system, for the court system, so on and so forth. That really is the relevance of trying to legalize marijuana. How are we as elected officials going to get paid? Everything is about the concept and the understanding of the commercial transaction. Everything is a commercial transaction. At least every crime is. So whenever they legalize something, they have to transition it over to getting paid, or how they're going to get paid legally. And when I say they, I'm talking about government officials.
And where I stand on that, I'd rather do that than them kids taking them pills and all the other destructive things they do. But we got off on this because I was messing with you. But she alleged that the problem you had in providing support and I guess attachment to the son was an alcohol problem. You want to tell me about why? Maybe tell me something to...
The reason why he had an issue attaching to his son had nothing to do with the alcohol. The use of alcohol was to offset the problem that he knew that he had connecting to his son. In other words, he was depressed that he did not know how to love, so he sought solace in the bottle. It wasn't like he was unable to connect with his son because he was too busy drinking. The drinking was an after effect of his inability to connect with his son, because he probably never experienced love when he was a child.
First met Vicky, I was fresh out of the work release center.
What's that?
I did 5 years in prison.
Okay.
And when I met her, I was in love at first sight.
No such thing. You fell in lust at first sight. And look, brothers, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you understand what it is that you're experiencing at that moment. Never mistake lust for love. Love is, God forbid, you get into a car accident, you lose the use of your legs, your lower extremities, and your woman still stays with you. Love is, God forbid, your woman has a kidney issue where she needs to have a kidney replaced and you're willing to give her one of your kidneys. Love is you lose your job and your woman holds you down for 3 months, 4 months until you can get back on your feet. Love is, God forbid, your woman gets breast cancer and you hold her hand throughout the procedure, and whatever it is, whether she is getting chemotherapy or what have you. That's love. Love is not seeing a bitch for the first time and, oh, goddamn, she got some big titties. That's not love.
When I met her...
Well, sir, come on now. You just come out of prison. You was falling in love with anything you saw.
No.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
All right. I wasn't. Because I'd been free for a while. I've been free for a while.
Okay.
I worked double shifts every day.
Got it.
I worked hard.
Having fun with you, sir. Go ahead.
It's all good. And my brother Tim was a fan of yours too.
Tell him I said
also, but at the time, when I met her, like I said, it was love at first sight. I was like, I wasn't going to let her get away that night, And like I said, shortly, we married a couple months.
She rolled her eyes. She like, I wish this nigga did let me get away. I could have been with somebody else bald by now, Telly Savalas or something like that, Lou Gossett Jr. We could have had a couple of egghead babies.
Afterwards, and I was working, and the guys, she has relatives that I was working with and running around with them boys. They same age I am, and they basically doing the same thing as I was. They wife at home, but they had a few kids or whatever. Me, I just got one and her. I'm like, I really didn't know how to love somebody because I was in the penitentiary. All I know how to do is take care of me.
At least the brother has the forthrightness and the courage to make that admission. Many people are not willing to make that admission. You have many people out here today, 45, 50 years old, who are finally able to reflect back at their life and their failed relationships and say, the reason why that didn't work is because I did not know how to love properly. The vast majority of relationships fail because the people that are in those relationships are more concerned about what the other person can do for them as opposed to what they themselves can do for their relationship overall. That's the number one reason why relationships fail, assuming that both parties are handling their personal lives appropriately.
I wasn't ready to be a daddy. I wanted to be a husband, but I didn't know how to be.
That's why you wait until you're 35 to 40 years old to have a child. All that falling in love at first sight and you 23, nigga, please. You have nothing to teach the child. You have nothing to teach the woman. You can't guide the woman. You don't even know who the hell you are yet. If you're even meant to eventually know who you are. There are people out here who live to be 80, 85 years old and never in their life come to a self-revelation about who they are. They spend their whole life following what the TV says or what everybody else does.
What was your upbringing like? Were you brought up in
my father wasn't there, but I had a stepfather that was there.
Okay.
As a child, be growing up, and as a teenager.
So you had an example of raising
uncles and aunts that are educational people.
Okay.
Prominent people.
All right.
But I was just running around with knuckleheads. Period. And I didn't see that right side of the fence. I was trying to straddle the fence the whole time. Thinking the grass gonna be greener. I know if I fall, it's gonna be greener. And then I'm thinking, I know she's not a people person, so I ain't worried about her being out in the street messing with nobody. I go back home when I feel like it.
That happens a lot. And that's why I talk about being an introvert. A lot of times these people, they try to demonize you for being to yourself or being a quote-unquote homebody or what have you. They're really jealous of you for having the strength to be able to stand on your own too. Because that's all it means to be an introvert. It does not necessarily mean that you're antisocial. Sometimes you might not necessarily want to be around other people. Maybe you have something that you're working on, or you have something that's going on in your head that you need to work out on your own and be by yourself or what have you. But, you know, when somebody lands a quote-unquote introverted person, they look at it as hitting the jackpot, and many times they take that for granted. Oh, well, you know, she's going to be at home anyway, or he's going to be at home anyway. One thing about people who are introverted, once they're done with you, they're done with you. They're not fucking with you anymore if they see that you're taking them for granted in some way and trying to abuse the relationship or what have you.
With that liquor said, then I'll be gone. 1 week turned into 2 weeks. 2 weeks turned into 2 months.
You were gone that long from now?
Yes. Yes. And I didn't even realize it.
Now you sound like a crackhead. You claim you didn't smoke crack, but now you sound like a damn crackhead. You're gone for 2 months and ain't even realize. Like, come on, brother.
I had went to jail, and then I called her, tried to call her, and I wrote her. She wrote me back. You know, we did that incident, and I filed for divorce.
Why? Why did you file?
I didn't want to hold her up no more.
Okay.
I didn't want to hold her up no more. But I still wanted her. I still want to hold her up. No, I couldn't. I felt that.
You think that was the case? Is that... Why do you think?
Bullshit. That man had another pen pal, and he said to himself, you know what? Let her go. I'm tired of her anyway. He met something new. Once again, the so-called thug is like a female. He hops from lily pad to lily pad. He thought that he met something better, so he said, I'm going to cut this old bitch loose. I don't want to be a dad anyway.
Because I was dating somebody else.
Absolutely.
I was in prison. I had no idea about her dating anybody else. But being in your 20s, I know she is. I mean, to myself, you know.
Yeah, well, you're talking about all she did is go home. I know she couldn't be messing with nobody.
Yeah, because
she kept herself. She's somebody.
Bullshit. Even with the so-called introverted woman, when they decide that they want to put on that freakum dress and them high heels and head out to the club or to the lounge or what have you, that's what they're going to do. Or they're going to give that guy at work a chance who's always been wanting to hit it. They're going to give that guy a chance.
And that's the very reason you all divorced.
Right.
It's because you neglected and ran out in the street, and so she decided she was tired of that and took somebody else, and then, you couldn't take it. Men can't take it.
And then they send me a paper telling me,
Don't start the man shaming. Believe me, there's plenty of women who can't take it when they start to imagine their so-called ex-man with somebody else, especially if they still want that man. So let's keep the man shaming out of it.
After I filed for divorce, once I filed for divorce, they sent me a paper saying that I owed for child support. But I still had like 2 or 3 years left to do. So...
In prison?
Yes.
How many years did you do?
I did 5 straight.
For what?
Burglary.
Okay.
And...
you ain't heard anybody though, did you?
No.
Was anybody in the home?
No. I was just outside. I never went in the house. I was just an accessory.
So your dumbass, you was the lookout or the getaway driver. That's what your dumbass was.
Some with some money. But I guess, you know, the alcohol through the years, no matter what, the alcohol would just, you know, too much anything makes you an addict.
Okay. What about the rent, ma'am? That's it.
Another reason why his dumbass was an alcoholic is because he looked back at his life and he said, damn, I really fucked up. A lot of these people, they take the wrong path and they feel like they can't turn back. So they just keep going down that path and they get lost in alcohol and drugs out of depression.
What you suing them about today? How's that come about?
It came about because when we got back together, in order for him to contribute, he said he would pay $70 a week.
When was this?
That was back in 2004.
Okay.
And he did that for 6 years straight.
6 years? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And so, but in 2010, we broke up, but we stayed in the same house.
How'd that work out?
Why the hell would anybody want that to work out in that way? How the fuck you quote unquote break up with somebody but y'all still living in the same house? Like, come on. And you supposed to be sleeping in the next room listening to your former partner get her back blown out? Like, really?
It was fine for a while. Like you said, I'm not a people person. I don't really go anywhere or do much, so it worked out.
Did you have a boyfriend at that time?
No.
Did he have a girlfriend?
Not that I know of. I guess I might need to ask him.
Did y'all have relations while you were staying together?
Not after 2010.
Okay.
Just roommates after 2010. So, but he went to jail for driving without a license. And then when it was time for him to get out, I went and picked him up. But I had a letter written, page 2 of the evidence. And I wrote this letter and had him sign it, telling him that he could stay for 2 weeks until he could get housing. And in 2 weeks, if he didn't have housing, I would reevaluate the situation. And we did that for a few weeks. And after a while, I stopped even, pushing for him to get out. And soon after that, he got hurt at work too. And his back was damaged. And he was bedridden for months, and I took care of him day and night, head to toe.
So what that states, or basically what she's trying to convey, is that her silly ass still considered him her husband, but she's so proud she can't submit to the man, maybe because she's still bitter about how he conducted himself back in the late 80s.
And then after that, got a settlement. And he paid my house off.
How does he owe you this time?
He owes me this time because...
Or maybe, since she entered that little tidbit into the testimony, the real reason why she took care of him to the degree that she did is because she knew that he was going to get a payout. And she figured that she could use him to pay her house off. Just by playing nurse, acting like she cared about him. These women are all over the place. That's why I tell brothers, make sure that you have your shit together and have your own place, man. Because the one thing that women have in common is that they're actresses. They could put on a hell of an act.
After I picked him up from jail and we made this agreement, he was supposed to start paying again.
What agreement did you make?
That he would pay me $70 a week, but it would be
$70?
Monthly. Right, it would be monthly because that's how he got paid.
$70 times 4. You're gonna make me figure it out, huh? $280 was.
Come on, Judge Mathis, you can't be that bad at math. I mean, shit.
He was to pay you what months?
August of 2018 all the way to August of 2020.
All right, sir. What do you say to this? She says you haven't paid her since in 2 years.
I gave her some, but I felt that, the stuff I do around the house and, like her car mess up, I'm there for that. Something the yard needs done, the gutters, anything,
So in other words, your dumbass is the groundskeeper. That's what you're telling me. And you think that, you mopping the floor and cleaning the bathtub and vacuuming the carpet and fixing her carburetor, that's going to make up for the money that she claimed that you owe her. You must not understand women as old as your ass is. You still don't understand a woman?
Around the house, it looks like a maid while she ain't there. I ain't it. I ain't gonna say I'm to clean it, but I do ain't the house. I just felt that.
You say you're like a maid. She treats you like a maid?
He cast himself as the maid. He cast himself as the servant. Once again, when you live in a woman's home, she's never going to respect you. I don't give a fuck how good the rod you think you're giving the woman is. I don't care about how well you cook breakfast before she leaves for work every morning. I don't give a shit about how well you clean out the garage for when her car comes home at 5:30 in the evening. She's not going to respect you, so-called black man. Make sure that you have your own at all times.
No.
Did she make you wear the outfit?
No.
He said, did she make you wear the outfit? That is old ass walking around like a French maid.
I would, but I don't.
Nigga said he would.
And she take me back.
That's right.
I'm not gonna go for that one. It's been 10 years, Your Honor, but
you gotta spice it up some kind of way, Doc. Put that outfit on, Doctor. Go ahead.
Hold on, let's get back to my money. Let's get back to my money now. Y'all getting off subject.
Go ahead.
I'm feeling like,
So you did repairs, you did other things around the house, and so you think that offsets.
I just don't feel like I should owe you $5,000. At least give me a little love there.
A little credit.
A little something.
What do you believe you owe?
Love. That's it.
Love.
That's it. Not
love don't pay no bill.
Yeah, I ain't got
no romance without finance.
I'm sorry, Judge Mathis and Miss Scott, but that's all you don't get. I can't get nothing for you. I felt that I did my share. You know, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude or anything like that, but I'm just saying, hey, I felt the things that I've done.
Where you live now?
I just got my own place a week ago.
Right.
Kudos to you. It's about damn time.
So?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where did you live before then?
With her.
For how long?
Ever.
That nigga ready to be a golem. He like, you know what, just puppet me around. I have no pride. That's how you know he has a self-esteem issue. He claims that he grew up in a household where he received love. I doubt it. I doubt it.
About 15 years.
I'm gonna stop you because you're getting more pitiful by the minute.
Absolutely. He thinks that he's being quote unquote cute. He's just being pitiful and pathetic.
I appreciate you being honest. Ma'am, he admits to owing, but he thinks that you should just take the love. And you want to let him work it off? Or?
No, thank you.
She done with him sexually. She's probably done with sex, period. She looked like she'd just rather sit at home and eat a bowl of popcorn and watch The View or some shit. You have females like that. Like, they get a certain age, they let themselves go. They're not even thinking about sex no more. He got his own place now. He need to head out and meet somebody new and get a backbone, because it's over between her and him. As a matter of fact, if he really wanted to attract her again, the best thing that he could do is give her her money and never call her again. I bet you that would pique her interest. She'd be like, oh, I wonder what happened to so-and-so. He's real quiet. Head over to his place, and all of a sudden she'd be trying to seduce him again. Women are like that. When you show a lack of interest, when you show that you're doing your own thing, that's all of a sudden when they want to start, throwing a coochie at you again.
All right, she won't let you work it off. Well, have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff.
But anyway, that's basically it on that, brothers. Once again, it's very important that we know what love is, so that we know when we're receiving it, and that we also know how to give it appropriately. Because many times that's going to be the difference between investing ourselves in a quote-unquote relationship as opposed to knowing when it's time for someone to go, or when it's time to let someone else go. A lot of times the Most High will have someone remove themselves because it's not really feasible what's going on. It's not anything that is feeding either person. But anyway, peace.